Hello, my name is Shannon Conaway. Today I'm going to be interviewing a dear friend of mine. However, he has asked that I not disclose his information due to harassment issues he's experienced in the past. He has asked that we all remain sensitive to his story because these are his experiences and they are close to his heart. So today, we ask for your full attention and a heart full of compassion. Thank you. Today we would like to ask you some questions about your story. Our first question is, when did you know that you were gay?
That's a good question. I've been asked that before, and I always just had a feeling about it when I was younger, and I guess just like going through middle school and high school, probably about 8th grade, I really knew. Just going through all those changes, that just got to me, so I think that was when I knew.
Okay. Were you okay with this? How did this make you feel?
I was raised in a Christian home, so I didn't know how to take it, and it was tough. And then over the years, I kind of learned what I needed to do, so I've come to kind of accept it, and I guess that's all I can do.
Okay. When did you decide to come out about this?
Come out, wow. That was, let's see here. I think it was my junior year on the baseball team, and there was some rumors going around, and I just finally had a team meeting and told the guys that I was gay, and some of them were okay with it, my good friends, and then my other friends, they weren't my real friends. They just started making fun of me and stuff, and it's the price I had to pay, I guess.
Yeah. Was there any kind of verbal or physical abuse that occurred because of this?
There was a lot of verbal abuse, much more behind my back than to my face, but not as much physical abuse that I can say. But
yeah. How did your family respond to this?
My mom hated it. My dad absolutely just pretty much ignored it. My sister didn't know what to think. Everybody was just in shock, so I was kind of alone and didn't have many people I could talk to because I didn't know any other people who were like me in high school, and so that was kind of tough.
Was there no one that you were able to talk to and be vulnerable with about where you were at?
Not really until I got to college. I didn't know anybody else, so I just kind of bottled it up. Looked on the internet for stuff, I just did my thing.
Yeah. Did you, was it when you got to college, who were the people that you initially felt like you were able to be open with and real with about where you were at?
There was a lot of people that I met who had some gay friends, and just some people who were more open to that idea, which somehow I just got in contact with them and started talking with them, and they've been really good helping me through this all and sorting everything out.
Okay. So while you were in school, how did the teachers and faculty and staff make you feel? Were they even aware?
I think some of my teachers were aware, but most of them didn't really get involved. There was a few that I got some weird looks from every now and again, and felt like they didn't really like me or stuff like that. And then there were one of my favorite teachers. She really just tried to help me out, and she kind of understood what I was going through and feeling, so she tried to have my back as much as possible, which was really good growing up in high school.
That's awesome that you were able to talk with her about it. Not understanding where you're at or where you're coming from at times, did that ever set you back emotionally? Was it ever hard for you? Did you ever hit like stumps in the road where you just didn't know what to do?
Oh yeah, there several times I can remember just being at home by myself, sitting on my bed, just not wanting to do homework, not wanting to do anything because I didn't know what to do with my life, and I felt like there was no one there that could talk to me, and no one knew what I was going through, so that was just probably some terrible times in my life, and hopefully the worst things in my life, and nothing else will be that bad.
So you started to feel hopeless and a little depressed?
Yeah, definitely. I went through a real bad depression phase, and it was just not good. I would come home from school after getting called some bad names for some people. They just didn't accept me, and so I would come home and want to be by myself, and just didn't really want to do anything. I didn't eat too much and stuff like that.
So we understand that you played baseball. That was a good outlet for alleviating pain. Were there any other outlets that you took to alleviate that pain during that hard time?
Yeah. Back when I was super depressed in high school, sometimes from time to time, I would turn to some just bad stuff, mainly drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, and that coped with the pain briefly, but it was always still there, so I'd have to keep going back to it, which just led me down a worse and worse path, and my grades started getting bad, and I just didn't have many friends and things like that.
Did you ever feel like you wanted to drop out of school?
You know, I did. I just was sick of being kind of harassed at school, and I just didn't have many friends, and no one really liked me, so my grades weren't good either. Didn't think about really going to college or doing anything with my life, so I thought about dropping out from time to time.
What prevented that?
You know, I think that probably goes back to that teacher I was talking about who really helped me. And she was just, she just always tried to encourage me. She wouldn't explicitly say, like, I know you're gay and so I'm here to help you, but she would always just be there. And we kind of just had this unspoken situation, I guess, about that, which was nice to have.
And how about your parents?
You know, my parents at this point didn't really care what I did, so, I mean, it was pretty much my decision. They thought about kicking me out a couple times, but they just didn't for whatever reason, and I'm really glad they didn't.
Before the sexual revolution of the 1960s, there was no common non-derogatory vocabulary for non-heterosexuality. The closest such term used to refer to homosexuals was third gender, tracing back to the 1860s. However, it never gained wide acceptance in the United States. The first widely used term homosexual was thought to carry negative connotations and tended to be replaced by homophile in the 1950s and 1960s, and subsequently gay in the 1970s. There are an estimated 9 million Americans, that's nearly 4% of the total population, that say they identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. Bisexuals make up slightly more than half that group, 1.8% of the total U.S. population. Today, this is affecting students like Josh all across the nation. Some key things Josh mentioned were in our statistical findings in our research on the LGBT community. According to the HRC, LGBT youth are more than 2 times likely as non-LGBT youth to say that they have been verbally harassed and called names at school. Among LGBT youth, 51% have been verbally harassed at school, compared to 25% among non-LGBT students. The HRC president, Chad Griffin, said, "School is where young people learn, grow, and develop mentally and emotionally. It's a space that must be free of discrimination and intimidation. Unfortunately, too many are harassed, bullied, and discriminated against, causing many to underperform or drop out."
So the question is, what should teachers do? First off, be aware. Make yourself available and arm yourself with grace. It is important as Christian leaders that we do not just love with words, but in action and in truth. If we exemplify the grace of God, then students will come confidently to us with their burdens. Hebrews 4:16 says, "Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need." We might be the only Jesus they ever see. In addition, to protect students, we must have the fear of the Lord, which is a non-tolerance policy for any type of bullying or harassment. This affects the classroom in a way that will either be very positive or very negative. We must stop the issue before it begins through set rules that have been communicated with the class. If they are not established, then it will be easy for the student to take advantage of their personal freedoms, and this is where disrespect of other students can creep in. This affects the students and the teacher.